In the early 2000s, the music industry was at one of its last great peaks before streaming completely reshaped the landscape. And in 2003, in particular, was a year defined by blockbuster debuts, cultural crossover, and artists who seemed to arrive overnight and take over radio, MTV, and magazine covers. And few names so symbolized that moment more than Evanescence and 50 Cent. Despite coming from completely different worlds, and one a gothic leading rock band fronted by Amy Lee, the other a gritty rapper from Queens with a notorious backstory, both of them dominated the charts and the conversation in 2003. Evanescence broke through with their debut album Fallen, released in March of that year. The record's blend of soaring gothic rock, new metal guitars, and Amy Lee's dramatic vocals struck a chord with the audiences looking for something darker than the polished pop that had ruled the late 90s. The lead single Bring Me to Life, featuring a guest rap verse from Paul McCoy of 12 Stones, became a global smash. It topped the charts around the world and went to number 5 on the Billboard Hot 100 and became one of the defining rock songs of the decade. The follow-up, My Immortal, showcased the softer, piano-driven side of the band and proved their staying power beyond just one single. And Fallen sold millions with months, ultimately becoming one of the best-selling albums of the 2000s. By the end of 2003, Evanescence were one of the biggest rock acts in the world, especially impressive at a time when female-fronted rock bands rarely broke into the mainstream at that scale. Meanwhile, 50 Cent was rewriting the rules of hip-hop success. His debut Get Rich and Die Trying, released February 2003, exploded on the scene. With Dr. Dre and Eminem in his corner, 50 arrived with enormous buzz and delivered all of it. The album debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200, selling over 800,000 copies in its first week, which was staggering numbers even for that era. Its lead single, In the Club, became an anthem almost instantly, dominating radio and clubs, and cementing 50 Cent as not just the hottest rapper of the moment, but a pop culture force. The album spawned other hits like 21 Questions and PIMP, while 50's backstory, surviving multiple gunshots, hustling his way from mixtape to superstardom, added to his mythos. By the end of 2003, 50 Cent had sold millions of records, launched the G-Unit brand, and seemed untouchable in the rap game. When you look at 2003, Evanescence and 50 Cent weren't just popular acts, they were the breakout stars of that year, and both had debut albums that dominated sales, singles that defined the sound of the moment, and kind of a cultural ubiquity where you couldn't escape their presence. And MTV played their videos in heavy rotation, magazines featured them constantly, and award shows were filled with their names. They came from opposite ends of the spectrum, one representing a kind of a theatrical emotional rock resurgence, and the other representing the hardcore street to mainstream pipeline of hip-hop. But they were both at the center of conversation about where music was heading. And this set the stage for the 2004 Grammy Awards, where both Evanescence and 50 Cent were nominated for Best New Artist. The category was especially loaded that year because everyone knew that whichever way it went, it would be making a statement about what kind of music the Record Academy wanted to the spotlight. And 50 Cent came in as the commercial juggernaut, the kind of artist who seemed to embody the dominance of hip-hop in the early 2000s. Evanescence, on the other hand, represented a different lane, an alternative-leaning rock band that had managed to bring pop and rock audiences alike, and both were undeniably huge and both had a loyal fan base, convinced their favorite would win.
All right, now let's see who takes home the Best New Artist crown that Ms. Jones here has worn so gracefully for the last year. The nominees for Best New Artist are Evanescence, 50 Cent, Fountains of Wayne, Heather Headley, Sean Paul. Laura, this is your thing.
Oh, thank you. All right. Okay. The best new artist is Evanescence.
When the envelope was finally opened and Evanescence were announced as the winner of Best New Artist, it became one of the more surprising and controversial Grammy moments of that era. Many expected 50 Cent to take the award, considering the massive cultural impact of Get Rich or Die Trying. His album has outsold nearly everything else that year and made him the face of mainstream hip-hop. Evanescence's victory showed the academy's tendency to reward rock acts over hip-hop, even in moments when rap was clearly dominating the culture. And 50 Cent himself even made a playful protest by walking across the stage during the Evanescence acceptance speech, a moment that has since become part of Grammy history.
Oh, what did I do? This is my first time. Thanks, 50.
Still, Evanescence's win cemented them not just as a successful band of the moment, but as a group taken seriously within the industry. For Amy Lee and her bandmates, it was a validation that their dark, emotional vision had a cut through to the highest level of recognition. For 50 Cent, meanwhile, the loss didn't slow his momentum at all. He continued to dominate charts, release hits, and expand his empire in music, film, and business. In hindsight, the 2004 Best New Artist category encapsulated the early 2000s perfectly, a time when rock and hip-hop were both at a massive commercial heights and when two completely different artists could stand shoulder to shoulder as the biggest new names in the world. And looking back, the moment is almost symbolic of the Grammys' complicated relationship with hip-hop. Even when rap was the most commercially dominant genre, the Academy often leaned towards rock, pop, or alternative when making its most high-profile choices. Evanescence's victory wasn't undeserved. They had one of the most successful albums of the year and their sound connected with millions, but the optics of awarding them over 50 Cent at the very height of his cultural dominance sparked debate that still lingers in discussion of Grammy history.
I watched 50, same shit. 50 did not win Best New Artist at the Grammys.
There was nothing bigger than 50.
Nothing bigger, and nobody since maybe like Snoop came out the gate like that. My first album didn't do it. I never saw someone's first album and the wave happen like he had.
In the end, both artists walked away from 2003 to 2004 as defining voices of their genres. Evanescence had secured their place in rock history with Fallen and a Grammy to prove it. 50 Cent has cemented himself as the face of early 2000s hip-hop, his influence spreading from beyond music into business, film, and fashion. The Best New Artist moment was just one flashpoint in their careers, but it perfectly captured the energy of that era, a time when music felt larger than life, and two completely different visions of artistry could collide on the biggest stage in the world. When we look back at the 2004 Grammys, one of the strangest things is how much focus was placed on 50 Cent losing Best New Artist to Evanescence, and not on him losing Best Rap Album to Outkast. On paper, Best Rap Album should have been the bigger story. After all, Get Rich or Die Trying was the most dominant rap record of 2003. It sold over 12 million copies worldwide, had multiple hit singles, and turned 50 Cent into a household name. Outkast Speakerboxxx and The Love Below was a double album where half of the material, with Under 3000's The Love Below, leaned heavily into funk, pop, and R&B singing rather than traditional rapping, and for many it was a genre-bending masterpiece, but also a stretch to call it purely a rap album. And yet when Outkast beat 50 Cent for Best Rap Album, it didn't stir nearly as much outrage or attention as the Best New Artist result did. And why was that? Well, a big reason is visibility. The Best New Artist category is one of the most high-profile Grammy Awards, right up there with the Album of the Year, Record of the Year, and Song of the Year. And it's an award that gets mainstream attention outside of just music fans because it symbolizes who the industry is betting on to find the future. And everyone watching knew 2003 had two giants debuts, with Get Rich or Die Trying and Fallen. So when Evanescence's name was called, it felt like a direct showdown, a head-to-head moment between two cultural heavyweights. It wasn't just about the award, it was about whose vision of music the Grammys were legitimizing. Best Rap Album though, the dynamics were different. Outkast were already critically respected veterans, having released multiple acclaimed albums before Speakerboxxx and The Love Below. They weren't new faces, they were innovators with nearly a decade in the game, so while 50 Cent's fans might have felt he deserved it based on sheer dominance, Outkast winning didn't feel like a snub in the same way. It was easier to accept because their album had been hailed by critics as a masterpiece and was already crossing over into pop culture with hits like Hey Ya, even though Andre 3000 was singing more than rapping at half the record. The album as a whole was still celebrated as pushing hip-hop into a new direction. Another factor was 50 Cent's own persona. He thrived on confrontation and competition. His swagger made the Best New Artist snub more dramatic because he literally walked across the stage during the Evanescence speech, turning it into a public spectacle. And that moment became an instant meme before memes even existed. The rap album Lost, by comparison, happened quietly. Outkast accepted the award with humility and grace, and 50 Cent didn't interrupt or make a scene. Without that theatrical protest, the narrative never reached the same level of cultural memory.
Look at the Best New Artist. 13 million records on the first album. You got to have a double CD and die to go diamond. Tupac, All Eyes on Me.
Yeah.
Prior to my album coming, Give It to Die Trying, you had to have a double CD and die.
Yeah, big too. I think Life After Death. Yeah.
Those are the only two albums that sold that many copies. So when you come and you're having that much success, you would see Diana Ross was on the award panel saying, you don't have to be like this. Like, you don't have to be like they're afraid their kids going to be 50 Cent if they acknowledge the material. So they don't give you the trophies. I got the checks. I didn't get the trophies.